What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Zcash today, ZEC USD. It is the 30th day of October. Here we are sitting at about $333, down 5% on the day, 8 hours and 30 minutes left. I still am forecasting that we have lower to go. I don't think that we're showing the right signs that we are ready to continue moving up just yet. I do believe, and I want to be very clear, I do believe that we have broken out of this consolidation phase, that we will continue to move higher. I just think that we might pull back first, back test for support at prior resistance, and then continue to rally. And I have my reasons for that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the short-term stuff, and then we'll zoom out. I had a lot of people. I shouldn't say a lot, but so some of you actually deleted your comments. Whoever you are, you know who you are. There were a few people who were at the top telling me how wrong I was talking about the price going lower. And literally 3 people have actually deleted their comments since then. So shame on you. Come on. I make videos. I make content. I don't delete that, right? I leave my face is out here. You're just some faceless name in the YouTube comments. There's no shame there. Be wrong. Who cares, right? Don't delete your comments. If you've got the brass to call me out at the highs, at least have the brass for me to call you out whenever it comes back down. But anyways, looking at the 1 hour time frame here, looking at the RSI, we did get overbought, which is nice. Overall, I actually really do like the 1 hour RSI. We're not getting oversold at all. We are in the same areas that we typically do find support. However, I think here we have a bit of a lower low, lower high downtrend scenario. So while I do, why can't I draw a straight line, man? While I do believe we find support here, I would think that we find resistance there and we probably proceed lower into that oversold zone, ultimately taking us not just below this low, but probably below this low even as well, would be my expectation. I think that we will interact with these high points here, something around this area, maybe just above, maybe just below, but something right there, right? Resistance zone there, resistance point right there, something a little bit lower. I'm not calling this a double top by any means, but it does look like, if we were to move higher, I would think that we would have had more volume, right? There was no volume. There's a complete lack of volume both times at these high levels, but volume is coming in as we're selling off. So I do believe we'll go lower. Looking at these stochastics makes me think that we have lower to go. The MACD on the 1 hour is not really the most reliable, but to be fair, it also suggests that we have lower to go. And then if we were to draw a low here to a high here, Fibonacci extension, retracement, the 1272 is actually just below this level that we have drawn. And then the golden ratio is all the way down there at $275. So I think something between about 275 and let's say 295, I think that's a completely appropriate target to have. It's completely appropriate. We could go lower, of course, but I really doubt. I'd be pretty surprised if we got down to 275 personally. I don't think that we're going to go that low, but 290, 280, I could see that, something in that range there. That's the expectation at the moment. Looking at the 4 hour time frame here, if we go from an overall aspect of this low here to this high here, the 382 is right there at $287. It's very common in strong moves to bounce right off the 382. It's also fairly common to wick a little bit below it. You wick below it and then you close above it in that same day. So if we go below $287, it does not mean that we have to go lower, but something around that area, specifically 287, that's what I'm focusing on. That's what I'm looking at. I think, again, 290, 280, 295, 285, whatever, something in that zone makes a lot of sense to me, right? Interacting with prior resistance points to validate support, to validate the breakout is real, and then we continue to run, right? I think what we're doing here is just really forming a bull flag. That's all. We're just forming a bull flag, so we have slightly lower lows to go. It's nothing intimidating, nothing crazy. We look at the indicators. You did reject the overbought zone. Now, this is not a good look. Typically, when just look at how often you've gotten overbought, and look at how not often you get oversold. You haven't been oversold at all, okay? Whenever you're in moments like this, when you're getting overbought consistently, but then you finally find a point at which you do reject the overbought zone instead of getting into it like you have every other time, that typically promotes decay. Typically it does, right? Let's see if we can find another example of this. Like this here, right? You're getting in the overbought zone consistently, and then finally, boom, you reject it. Let's just see what happened after that, right? We'll have to zoom down a little bit. But boom, you gave it back. You went down probably to your 0.5 area. It looks like low to high here. Right past your 0.5, right there, right above your golden ratio, just right there, okay? And that happened after you rejected the overbought zone, right? Here, we are rejecting the overbought zone, and we've only just begun this rejection, so I really do think that we have lower to go. The MACD did cross red. We were crossing green again, but it's looking like that was a false cross, because the fact that we're crossing back red this fast with only such a little amount of green makes me think that we do really have lower to go, that this really is some kind of maybe it's some kind of double top, but more likely I think that again we're just consolidating outside of our consolidation range, right? We just finished consolidating here in this little triangle. I think that we are. Is that an inverted roof at the top? Maybe. I don't know. Whatever pattern that is, we just broke out of this. I don't think that we're going to break back into it. I just think that we'll find support where we found resistance before, slightly lower low, and then we move up higher. Again, the breakout of this pattern to the upside, to me, suggests that overall we have higher to go. It's just momentarily crypto's taking a dump, so dump we go. Dumperoo, here it is. 4-hour stochastic suggests lower prices, RSI suggests lower prices, and so does the MACD. As long as we don't pump in the next 24 minutes, if we confirm this red cross here, the MACD would definitely confirm that we are moving lower. Looking at the daily time frame, zooming out a little bit more, we don't have bearish divergence, right? We don't have bearish divergence. If you're looking at it like this and you're saying lower highs, that's bearish divergence, I would say, well, what about this? Why is that not a higher high? It is a higher high, actually, and it's a higher high here. It's not bearish divergence, right? If that's bearish divergence, you would have had to count this high in the midst there, right? But there's no bearish divergence between these highs. There's none between these highs. It's not there. However, we are in the overbought zone. We've consistently been in the overbought zone. We can come down to the 60 and bounce. We can come down to the 50 and bounce. We can go down to the 40 and bounce. We can go to all these levels and bounce and be fine. We could even go lower. I don't think we'll go that low, though. You look very bullish here, but you've been overbought for quite some time. Maybe cool off a little bit more. There's nothing wrong with that. Stochastics look fine, and the MACD also looks fine, right? We're kind of doing the same thing that we did on the 4-hour time frame with the MACD, but to the reverse effect, where here you were kind of starting a downtrend potentially, and you got a false cross up, and now we're going to get another drive down. Here in your uptrend, you had the false cross down, and now we're crossed back up again. So I would think that this move persists higher, okay? Looking at the weekly time frame, and we zoom out, zoom way the hell out. Oh, I didn't know that the fibs are on there. You can see that we are getting tied up here where we found resistance before. It makes perfect sense that this is where we would find resistance, right? It's just like here where we found support there before, right? So we found support again here. Okay, it's the exact same thing, but on the flip side here, right? We're finding support right or resistance right now. We probably consolidate a little bit, which, to be completely fair, we already did like last week, 2 weeks ago. Consolidate a little bit more, pop down below $300. We probably don't go below 280, and then we rip from there. I would think that we consolidate between now and next week, and then going into the following week, if not sometime next week, we should be recovering. We should be moving higher, and ultimately from a high. Oh, that's not the high, but here's the low. High to low. The next target, the very, very next target is $877, and then the range itself would be $877 to $2,600. Now, I don't believe that we're going to 2,600 right away. I don't think that we're just going to move up like this. Consolidations here and there, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think that we will stop somewhere between about $1,500 and $900. I do think that we'll stop somewhere in this range, and that's largely due to this high here. Just like we're getting tied up here at this high, I think we'll get tied up at that high, consolidate, you'll see, and then we continue to rally as well. Ultimately, I have faith that Zcash will see $2,600, and beyond this cycle, we're looking for a $6,000 target, maybe an $8,700 target, if not higher, or something around this area. I personally think that Zcash can see a $5,000 to $10,000 price by the end of the cycle. But here we are at 335 now, with the prospects to go just below 300. Okay, just below 300. Most people right now are, this is kind of the reality of Zcash right now. A lot of people got bearish here after the pump, right? A lot of people were bearish. They were shouting loud that Zcash, okay, yeah, but it's going to come back down. And then it pumped in their face. There were still some people who were loud, really loud, right? I was loud at the top here saying that we were probably going to come back down below 300, and we did. Even below 200, we did say that. I think we called for a low as low as 160, but we didn't quite get there, which is fine, whatever. But we did flip bullish. We did flip bullish right whenever at the right moment here. I thought that we'd be progressing higher more immediately. I thought we'd already be at like $400 to $500 by the end of the month. That was the expectation. But we're getting tied up here, and that's fine, right? A lot of people are afraid right now to call for Zcash to go down because it has been so resilient. I'm not afraid to call for that. I don't care if I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. But even whenever I'm proven right, even whenever we do go below $300 and we do find support at prior resistance and we do something that's completely normal and healthy to do, I'm not going to be here being like, I was right. I told you. I called it. I was right. Because that's just annoying. That's really annoying. I don't like people that do that kind of stuff. Like if it's a bold call, if it's something that like is totally against the grain, but like I don't know, man. I like Ben Cohen, for example. Whenever he's right, he's just kind of like nonchalant about it. I like that kind of stuff. Right? I don't like the personalities that are just like they yell so loud when they're right, but they don't talk about when they're wrong at all. That's half of why if I'm calling for the price to go down here and instead we pump when I'm wrong, I'm not gonna be at the top of my lungs being like I was wrong, I was wrong. So why am I gonna be at the top of my lungs saying I was right? Right? It doesn't. If it matters that much to be right, then it matters that much to be wrong. Who cares? The price is going to move one direction or another. It's not really that big of a deal. But all I'm calling for here, beyond my own BS, I'm just talking about the price going to 270 to 290, probably around 280 to 290, and then we will recover and move higher. Maybe as low or at a minimum of like 295, but I do believe we will get below $300. I'm going to end the video there because it sounds like the neighbors are doing some stonework outside. So hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.